The use of the Willie Horton as the example is in some sense designed to conjure up the ugliest psychosexual fears among white people about black men raping white women.
The charge that the Bush campaign is benefiting from racial fears triggered by the Willie Horton case.
When they look at Willie Horton, they associate him with the universal mugger, rapist, and black criminal.
Dr. Alvin Poussant supported Jesse Jackson and now supports Michael Dukakis. As a psychiatrist, he explains Willie Horton is, for white people, the ultimate black boogeyman.
Blacks. I mean, blacks have long been associated with crime and particularly rape of a white woman. In fact, that was such a critical issue with the segregationists, that somehow black men would rape white women. So it's hard to hear that without getting some kind of associative feelings, negative feelings toward blacks on the whole, and particularly blacks in relationship to crime.
The Bush campaign does not show Horton's face in its television ad about the furlough program.
His revolving door prison policy gave weekend furloughs to first-degree murderers not eligible for parole.
And contrary to Jesse Jackson's statements, the prisoners seen going through a revolving door are not mostly black. The ad also points out a legitimate campaign issue. Before the law was changed, Massachusetts' furlough program was unique.
They should have seen the racial connections. I mean, anyone acquainted with the race situation in the United States would have. But I think that they would have used this issue against Dukakis, even if Horton was white.
While Bush has been cautious about using Willie Horton's face, Bush supporters have not.
I don't know how many of you have gotten this. Friends, this is garbage. This is political garbage.
Dukakis complained about race-baiting literature circulated by an Illinois group of Bush supporters. George Bush has specifically disassociated himself from it. And while Poussant thinks subliminal racism is hurting Dukakis, he also thinks saying so could backfire on Dukakis.
So it's a double-edged sword in this situation for Dukakis. It may turn out overall to be effective in gaining him some votes from minority people. On the other hand, he may lose some votes from certain types of white fence-sitters. And many people, Americans, don't like to be called racist. It's very, very provocative.
The ad most people are talking about when they charge subliminal exploitation of race is this one. Paid for by a group called Americans for Bush, it's been running in key states like California for months.
One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend.
Blacks with crime has been something that's been promoted, and over the past number of years, the emphasis on the underclass, the criminal element, the drug takers, crack, I think that all coalesces in the Horton case.
Indeed, triggers other negative images of black.
I feel a sort of heaviness, of sadness.
Dad, try.
Poussant notes that The Cosby Show is the #1 hit among whites in South Africa, which supports his theory that an abundance of positive black role models doesn't necessarily change white attitudes. Poussant argues that to whites, black heroes and leaders seem distant and unthreatening, but whites transfer fears about blacks to blacks they see around them.
I mean, even for me sometimes at night, if I'm walking even around this area, in back of a white woman in particular, frequently I see them grab their purse and they tuck it more tightly under their arm. They look a little bit nervous, and they're just reacting, really, to the color of my skin.
For the 10 o'clock news, I'm Christy George.
We demand that our sisters and brothers be released immediately because they have committed no crime. although the Standard Times has quoted Mayor Rogers as stated that these charges will stick and that those arrested, will not be back out on the streets in 5 minutes after going to court. So again, we can see very clearly that black people cannot receive a fair trial in the racist courts of America. Therefore, our sisters and brothers should be released from these prisons and returned to our community. This incident on the part of racist Mayor Rogers and his partner in crime, Chief Polititor, or whatever his name is, proves that a blatant conspiracy has been put into motion to murder, imprison, and to exile anyone working for the salvation of black people.
According to the Panthers, the black community in New Bedford simply wants to be left alone by the police and Mayor Rogers. They blame the violence here on official repression and say the first step in easing the situation is to get the police out of the black communities. The bail for the 20 blacks arrested here Friday night is set at nearly $1 million. The Panthers say it could be raised from party coffers around the country. But since they say the charges against the 20 are trumped up, instead they demand their release and that the charges be dropped. No ultimatums were issued should the police refuse the demand. But if there is an ultimatum, it may be in the mood of the people themselves, which for now seems to be wait and see. Nick Mills, Channel 5 News, New Bedford.
Move it out after this street, Dan. Dan. Move it, Dan. 2 more. Move it out. Move it out. 229, huh? 229, bud.
Still color now.
What
about these guys?
Hook them. Hook them. Sergeant, bring it tight. There we go, Bob. Over here. Bob, over here. Take the cameras out of here. Okay, follow them over the van, man. Follow them over the van. Right to the van. On board. Over the van. Couple of, get the plate. Okay, Bill. Two guys there. Take them to confirmation. No, stay on their way.
Look at them, Mom. Look at them.
I've seen them. Here, I gotta wait for Cheryl. You're not gonna let her through here.
Watch it up, fellas. Yeah. Hey, fella, please. Christ, give me a break.
Those of you that don't have a press pass, I want you to know, if you have a press pass, you're supposed to have a press pass.
This is it right here.
We do believe in the power of prayer, otherwise neither of us would be committed to our calling.
These and other men of God, black and white, want to pray this Sunday at St. Monica's Church in South Boston. The plan was to hold a low-key, interfaith, interracial prayer meeting. But City Councilor Jim Kelly took out a half-page ad in the South Boston Tribune calling on the Catholic Church to move the meeting somewhere else, because it could be seen as a political endorsement of Mayor Flynn's plan to integrate Southie's all-white housing projects.
I don't consider racism a political issue. That would be a moral issue. A moral issue which involves not changing of structures so much as conversion of hearts.
You change hearts through prayer. The power of prayer and leading by example. That's how you change hearts.
Busing was the old battleground. Now it's housing. Just before last year's mayoral election, Flynn announced the city would be moving black families into the white housing projects in Southie. His plan lost him the votes of his own neighbors and earned him their jeers at a subsequent community meeting. At that same meeting, Kelly virtually guaranteed violence would follow integration.
And there are some people in here, or certainly your sons or your daughters, that are going to serve time for civil rights violations. That's another problem.
Today, religious and community leaders met with Flynn to talk about desegregating the projects peacefully. The consensus was optimism about the future and thinly disguised scorn for Kelly.
Did Councilor Kelly's name come up at all?
Who's he?
Kelly believes affirmative action is reverse racism. In his letter, he wrote, assigning the needy to public housing based on race is morally and legally wrong.
For those of us who firmly believe in equal opportunity, then you have to oppose forced busing, racial quotas, and now forced housing.
The fact that you've got some folk who now hold elective office who are bent on a course of keeping people in opposition to one another and keeping the city divided, and you've got religious leadership and people of the religious communities of this city willing to stand up and say, no, the order of the day ought to be our coming together. By virtue of the players, it makes it political.
Everybody in South Boston that is white and Irish is not racist, nor is everybody that's black in Roxbury a drug addict or sells drugs in these housing projects. This is a forum where this can be said, and hopefully on this Sunday.
Bernard Cardinal Law today endorsed the prayer meeting in a statement that noted publicity could lead to the erroneous impression that racial discrimination is a problem of geography, which it is not. Racial discrimination is a problem of the human heart. And one of the unstated goals of Sunday's service is to debunk the stereotype that South Boston is a racist neighborhood.
It's obvious to me that Councilman Kelly does not speak for everybody in South Boston. This interview is being done in South Boston right now. I drove here by myself. I had no one throwing any stones at me. I had people directing me where I needed to go. No one calling me derogative terms or anything.
Boston church leaders say Sunday's meeting is about prayer, not politics. But if they had wanted to make a political statement, they couldn't have picked a better way. For the 10 o'clock news, I'm Christy George.
I don't know if there's a need to read this for your purposes. There were 121 at the Boys Club. There were 25, is that right? At St. Hugh's? 17 at St. Hugh's? 17 at St. Hugh's. Then that means this figure is off. It's 140.
Mr. Rollins, that number represents only a fraction of the total population of the King School. In light of that, how would you analyze the first day?
Well, there are 542 students theoretically enrolled in the King School. However, during the last month or more, I'm not sure what the numbers were that they were actually getting in the school, but they varied from around 300, as I understand it, the youngsters who were actually coming to school. So it's our feeling that, considering that the school was closed on Thursday, we had Friday to work on this, with, I must say, some help from the press. We could have used some more. With no direct announcements to parents except some few phone calls that we could make. With a very cold day, and with a very uncertain situation generally, and with the kind of negative atmosphere that the school committee had initially cast on the cabinet, although it more recently reversed itself, with all of those factors working against us, I'm quite surprised and quite pleased that we were able to attract 140 or 150 students to the learning centers, that we were able to conduct viable curriculum that was interesting to the youngsters, that it was well organized and well administered, that the teachers from the King School and community volunteers really took a hold and were able to work with the youngsters. We were in touch with the King Timothy Advisory Council. Some of the community teachers worked with us at the learning centers or at Operation Exodus, helping us to put together some of the administrative aspects. We are hopeful for a continued and growing relationship with the Advisory Council from here in.
Mr. Collins, have you been in touch with the school committee today? There seems to have been some gap between what was implied with the statement that the school committee would offer full support and so forth, and the fact that mothers had to prepare lunches. Is the school committee going to fill that void?
Well, the school committee has a meeting, its regular weekly meeting at 3 o'clock today, and there will be somebody representing our efforts will be there in an attempt to get this clarified. My feeling is that the school committee wanted to give us this kind of support, but the implementers, the administrators, were not certain to the extent of the commitment, and that has to be clarified.
Presumably something like the school milk program would be a natural extension to the learning center.
Yes, I would hope so. We're asking parents to, those who can, to send their children with lunches tomorrow, but we also will provide some kind of lunch for children in the centers.
How about those other things that the school department would logically be expected to supply to a school? Textbooks, blackboards, paper, pencils, materials of all sorts.
Well, many of the teachers went to the King School this morning and took paper, some pencils. As far as books, we have no textbooks. And at this time, I feel that textbooks are totally irrelevant at this point.
In what way?
Well, the textbooks do not provide the type of educational processes that these children need right now. The history books are totally irrelevant. We have a few English books, but not enough to give each child a textbook. And that's how it stands right now.
There are resource materials that we expect children to be using. They're in libraries, some of them. There are some materials in Afro-American history, for example, that have been developed, but they're not in the form of a textbook. But that's the learning process. It seems to us has been seen as isolated from the environment. And so the textbook, if you want to call it that, is really, to a certain extent, in the children themselves or in the environment here. What we need to do in terms of education is to provide young people with skills so that they can analyze what they're going through and their experiences individually, socially, culturally, and politically, so that they can develop a historical perspective as to other movements or other lifestyles around them and before them, and so that they can plan and project future development. It seems to me those are the uses of the skills. That math is not an abstract form in its most positive use, nor is the writing skill, nor reading skill. They're all tools to be used in some relevant fashion. And it seems to us that as it's been suggested in our curriculum guideline, that the control or the ability to mold the environment in a democratic fashion is the point at which curriculum becomes, that those tools become relevant. Operation Exodus has been working on behalf of the King School Cabinet and in coordination with the King Timothy Coalition to provide for ongoing learning for students at the now closed Martin Luther Middle School next Monday. Monday morning beginning at 9 a.m. and will be open each day next week and for the duration of this period from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. The learning centers are as follows: St. Hugh's Roman Catholic Church on Blue Hill Avenue at the corner of Wayne Street above Grove Hall. Roxbury Presbyterian Church, Warren Street and Woodbine Streets, across from the Washington Park Shopping Mall. The New Urban League, 100 Warren Street, across from the Roxbury Boys Club, and the Roxbury Boys Club on Warren Street near Dudley Street Station. We have also identified alternate learning centers in case of overflow or for use for special programs, and these include Crown Manor on Warren Street in Roxbury, which probably will be used for classes in modern dance to be taught by Mrs. Mills. Hawthorne House on Hawthorne Street in Roxbury for general purposes, and Freedom House, 14 Crawford Street, Roxbury, also for general purposes. Parents of King School children are advised to send their children to the above learning centers according to the following general plan around the grades. 6th graders to St. Hugh's Church, 7th graders to the New Urban League and to Roxbury Presbyterian Church, 8th graders to the Roxbury Boys Club. Throughout the day today, we have had a literal host of offers for help and support in our effort to provide ongoing educational experiences for the black students of the King School. At present, we are able to announce the following as part of the new educational programs to be offered at the learning centers. First, a case study method of education will be used at the learning centers. This specific problem-solving method is a pedagogical technique.
When you said you received the support of the school department, who offered the support?
At the meeting yesterday with the school committee and administrators from the school department, the decision by the school committee was, first of all, to close down the school for an indefinite period, and secondly, to work with the King Cabinet and the King Council in a supportive fashion to set up some kind of ongoing education in the community during this interim period. I spoke this morning with Mr. Tom Marr and with Tom McAuliffe of the school department, and told them what we were about, and they are very enthusiastic about some of the things that we had lined up at that time and indicated their full support. Among other things, they have agreed to open the King School at 8:30 Monday morning for us to use as a headquarters to mobilize these various resources that we've lined up.
Well, the basic problem in the King School has been that of discipline, and you're now establishing these learning centers. Could this group work with the school to curtail that discipline problem they have over there?
Well, it's my feeling that the main problem is not the problem of discipline, but the problem of irrelevant and racist education at the school. And that the young people are fed up with it.
Excuse me, but what is the racist education?
Well, they have no instruction in Afro-American history. The orientation is all around European and Western cultures. The music that is called, referred to as classical or important music is Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms. It's not James Brown and Otis Redding, who in their own context, in our cultural context, are as classical, if I may use that frame, musicians as you will find, and so forth, in many aspects. In addition to that, and that's kind of that institutional kind of racism. In addition to that, we have a history of problems with individual teachers who are prejudiced, and that's admitted by the school department now, that this is a problem with teachers, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, but something that must be dealt with.
Do you think it's possible that this problem can be solved soon enough for the children to get back for regular formal education?
You mean this year?
This year.
This academic year? Sure.
Well, if you're speaking of formal education in the way that they've been taught, this school, in my opinion, has been backwards for the last 2 or 3 years, and the kids who have graduated from it has been far behind the studies that they should be. And as a parent, I hope that even when the school is open, they don't go back to what you call formal education, but would have a sort more progressive or advanced type of education curriculum for the children.
Is that one of the things that the coalition is working on with the school department?
Yes, and we would like to have a different type of curriculum entirely.
Who will be staffing the centers primarily, since most of the teen teachers?
What do you mean by racist education? What do you mean by racist education? this program be worked in the school? When do you think the school will reopen so the children can receive regular, normal education? When do you think the school will reopen so the children can get regular, normal education?
Because as I pointed out yesterday, it's my feeling that every new assignment in the City of Boston school system brings with it challenge, excitement, and an opportunity to move the youngsters forward on the academic ladder.
Mr. Bradley, it's understandable that you want to be... So, Mr. Bradley...
I have been going around prior to this news conference, visiting the rooms, introducing myself to the staff and also to the pupils and talking briefly with them.
Mr. Bradley, how do you think, how can you control some of the problems they have now? For example, they had a false alarm today. Do you think you can control this type of behavior?
Yes, I have a feeling that this type of behavior can be controlled. As I pointed out yesterday, in the Boston Public Schools there is an ongoing attempt to improve the quality of instruction. And I feel that I have here at the Martin Luther King Junior Middle School a fine product of the community, the children, and I feel that the teachers will constantly make every effort to upgrade the quality of the instruction. And as we upgrade the quality of the instruction, I feel that the youngsters will become so involved in the learning process that any thoughts of pulling alarms, roving the corridors and so forth will be discouraged, because they will be so caught up in the learning process that all these thoughts will hopefully disappear.
Well, is this more of a long-range solution?
Well, I think the problems themselves indicate that it'll have to be of necessity a long-range solution. We cannot, I have no magic wand. I'm coming in here and I'm going to entertain, as I pointed out earlier, the thoughts of my administrative staff, the faculty, the King-Timothy Coalition people, and all interested groups within the community, and in particular those interested parents. So it has to be of necessity a long-range approach.
When do you plan to meet with the coalition, parents groups, and others in the community?
Well, I arrived this morning, as I pointed out earlier, at 8 o'clock. I have been rather busy. I'm taking time off for this press conference. I have not made a firm commitment as when I will meet with them, but I assure you, and I want to assure them, that it will be at the earliest possible moment.
Brian, what kind of reaction do some of the conversations then you with the white people?
Well, first of all, I respect this opinion. They're certainly entitled to it. But I have a feeling that it's not the color of one's skin that enables a person to relate, or enables a faculty or a group of adults to relate to children. We have had instances of black principals being successful in all white schools and white principals being successful in all black schools. So I feel that the color of my skin hopefully will have no bearing on my relationship with the community and will not in any way militate against any possible success that we might have here at the Martin Luther King Junior Middle School.
Are the attendance figures, both from the pupil and teacher point of view, this morning satisfactory in your judgment?
Indeed they are. I was quite satisfied. They seem to be moving forward steadily.
Mr. Bradley, just one brief question.
Yes.
How do you feel generally about the issue or the principle of community control?
Well, I feel that in my capacity as a principal, I am in charge of the responsibility of moving the youngsters in the Martin Luther King Junior Middle School forward. This is my intention. I feel very strongly that interested members in the community should have a voice in the running of the Martin Luther King Junior Middle School. There are some outstanding people within the community, and most importantly, we have some wonderful parents. And we have here again the product of these parents, their children. And I feel that they are interested, and therefore they should have a say concerning the running of the school, and I intend to give them a voice in the running of the school. Well, first of all, let me say that I'm delighted to be here at the Martin Luther King Junior Middle School. I'm looking forward to the things that we hope to accomplish here. And of course, in the Boston Public Schools, every new assignment brings with it challenge, excitement, and opportunity. And I think the opportunity rests chiefly in the fact that we will be able to move the youngsters in the Martin Luther King Junior Middle School forward. And it's my intention, with the cooperation of the administrative staff, the faculty, the King-Timothy Coalition groups, and all interested members of the community, to make this school not only the best middle school in the city of Boston, but hopefully in the United States.
Anytime you're ready, C.B. Mr. Vangel, what did this meeting accomplish to your way of thinking?
Well, first off, there was a 10-member faculty advisory board elected in the meeting, which will work with the advisory council and the school administration in mapping out a program for reopening of the King School.
In the meantime, what happens to the King teachers?
Well, we were alarmed this morning when we found that it was the plan of the school administration to reassign teachers on Monday. I'm glad to see that the school department has changed its position, and the school committee will make its determination at an executive board hearing of the school committee on Monday evening. It's my hope that we can work out something suitable to both the faculty and the administration. I think the feeling of the teachers is that they've been through a living hell, so to speak, and that this was kind of a slap in the face to reassign them on Monday.
Well, I hope that come September, when the schools do open, that where they're going to be integrated quietly and peacefully, you know, without a lot of violence and what have you going on. I think if the parents, you know, would just not start a lot of rioting and different things like that, the kids will adjust.
There are an awful lot of objections to the racial imbalance law. Legitimate ones, but I think that their constant injecting of the race issue into it and racist rhetoric is very bad, having a very bad effect on the community that's creating panic in some of the white neighborhoods, and it's not going to help white or black people.
What we hope to do is to correct some of the fallacies and misinformation that has been going around concerning the plan. Also, we hope to give the parents some very specific details as to where their children will be going and make them realize that whatever effort to make any sort of change will have to be constructive and organized effort, because if there is confusion and violence in September because of the plan, the children will be the victims, actually.
I don't think it should be, you know, that big of an issue. The black and whites, you know, going integrating in the schools.
Do you feel like there's been too much emphasis at this point on the fact that the racial balance law cannot work, and that there's too much opposition to it?
Oh, let's see. That's hard to say. I think it can be worked out, you know, and I hope it can. It's hard for me to say how, because I don't know how. But anyway that it's done, I just hope that it's peacefully, you know.
From your standpoint, is there enough information as to what exactly will happen, how the racial balance law will be implemented, where youngsters will be going to school next year? Has that information been coming forth fast enough for your satisfaction?
Now that's hard for me to answer, because I really don't, you know what school changes are going to be made and any of that. I really don't know. Like I said, I do have kids in the Boston Public Schools, but they're not like in the schools that have been told that we're going to be closed and some will be transferred to other places. That, you know, It just doesn't involve mine, so I really don't know, you know, what'll be happening. But with my kids, you know, they'll be in the same schools.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve, why do you personally feel a need to try and bring about an atmosphere of racial harmony when so many others seem to be concerned with very specific issues in their very specific communities?
Well, I feel that racial tensions are on the rise now. They are going to be on the rise unless we do something about it around the issue of the schools and issues of housing. And that this group really has a hard task, but we're really going to work at trying to get some racial unity at a time when it's sorely needed.
What do you feel are the major contributors to the disharmony and the tension?
Well, I feel obviously the school committee is one. I think that property and upgrade their communities.
Thank you. Gloria, the coalition is charged with the responsibility, or has taken upon itself the responsibility, of giving information to parents on the realignment of the schools for September. What do you hope to accomplish with that?
With the plan, and if they are not satisfied, to come together in organized groups and do something constructive.
There has been criticism that information that is going around now is inaccurate. How do you know the information you're able to give the parents is accurate information?
Well, we've culled information from various sources and put it together and come up with specific answers because we did do this, okay? There are other departments in the government, city and state government, who could possibly give the answer, Jimmy, but the coalition felt as though that they had to take the lead because we are parents. Our information is accurate to this date. There have been modifications submitted, but not all have been finalized. So what we can tell you now, I think out of 2,000 calls, we had about 3 people call back to say we had given them inaccurate information. I think that's a good record.
No, not this particular instance. Okay. What specifically is orientation for integration, and how is it going about its chore, and specifically what is that chore?
Well, it's a federally funded program, partially funded by the government and partially by the Boston School Department, which gives human relations skills to parents, teachers, or students who volunteer to come into the program. And we work on listening skills, communication skills, skills in group dynamics, but basically skills in intergroup relations, getting people to know how to get along with each other.
Now, how does that translate in the forefront of the integration situation that's about to occur here in September?
It's very important. We're working right now with teachers, giving them the skills, particularly white teachers who have never taught with black students, or teachers who haven't taught white students, really knowing how to know the difference between intergroup conflict and interpersonal conflict, which is very important, and giving people those listening skills, those communication skills, which are going to help them really do a better job in education.
What do you feel that this orientation will mean once schools open in September? Will it be a major factor in trying to quell the racial tension?
I certainly hope so. I think it's going to have to be an ongoing thing, and I think of human relations as a positive thing, not really a crisis response, but an ongoing positive workshop to just continually support teachers and students in getting along with each other.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think when you